The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Bush.
The Elite 50, the top 50 anglers in the sport of bass fishing, started their 4-tournament series on Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas. Alabama's Randy Howell took the top prize and top series points to event number 2 on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway in Mississippi. Howell's shallow water plan ran aground, but others excelled, including some of the sport's biggest names. The first day leader, though, was Mark Davis, already a winner on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour this year.
14 pounds and 8 ounces.
Day 2 on the Tennessee Tombigbee, and anglers like former Classic champ Davey Height continued to excel. But again, it was Davis establishing a reliable pattern and whipping the full field over the 2 qualifying days by 11 pounds. On day 3, the top 12 anglers took their weight to 0 and began to fish a 6-hole course fashioned from the channel of the old Tombigbee River. Some of them faltered, but not Mark Davis. For the 3rd straight day, he's the front runner, leading the field of 6 who will advance to today's final. A field of 6 that includes superstar Gary Klein of Texas. Alton Jones, a winner on the tour last year. At 26, the youngest member of the field, Dustin Wilkes of North Carolina. Stacy King of Missouri, who's had a great 2004 season. Kevin Van Dam, the 2001 Classic champ. And the only man to win Angler of the Year in the Classic in the same year, Mark Davis. We're almost at the halfway point of our Elite 50 series. Hi, I'm Tommy Sanders. Great to have you with us today. But right now, we have to consider that this Elite 50 series is all about points production through the entire 4 events. And before we begin this final day of competition, let's look at the point standings right now. 2 guys on top of them who are fishing in our final 6 today. That would be Stacy King of Missouri with 571 points, but just 3 points back is Kevin Van Dam. Another good thing about today is we got Fish Fishburne with us, doing the color, doing the analysis. Before we start our championship day, Fish, tell us about something that happened at the end of day 3 that really is going to affect a few anglers.
I'll tell you something that I hate is when we have to go to the Bassmaster rule book. We had to check in with Trip Weldon, the official, who tells us about time. How does time management work? You're docked 1 pound per minute up to 15 minutes, then your whole catch is disqualified. If you're late to check in, Tommy, 12 anglers got stuck in one of the locks coming up from the Aliceville pool into the Columbus pool. A barge which has priority. Commercial traffic prioritizes these commercial big-time barges. You don't want to put bass boats in there and mix them up. And guess what? 12 guys late. Can they still make the Citgo Bassmaster Classic? The word should be yes. It will depend on their finishes coming up at the next 2 E50s. Going to be in Montgomery, Alabama, Paducah, Kentucky. All right. Man, it's going to be difficult.
2 more events left to go, and again, 10 slots available to guys who haven't made the Citgo Bassmaster Classic coming up, so that's important to all these anglers. But what's important to our anglers today is this 6-hole course, and Jerry, I know you're ready to tell us all about it.
And this format is pretty simple. We've taken the Columbus pool, turned it into that course, divided it into 6 different holes. And our 6 anglers will start in each one of their holes respectively, fish for an hour and 20 minutes, and then rotate until they fish the whole course. Now, the interesting thing I think about this course is, well, the Waterway was completed back in 1985, and before that, the old river channel went all the way through this course, formed the Columbus pool, and I think that old river channel touches almost every one of these holes. The anglers like that. As a matter of fact, let's let the anglers tell about the course.
3, 4, and 5 were probably the best holes on the course.
It's really a toss-up between 3, 4, and 5.
Yesterday, after running the course, I caught 2 keepers out of 3, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 5.
A guy that moves into those late in the afternoon when the bite starts is going to be fortunate.
They're real similar. They got lots of grass and a lot of little islands.
The 5 is probably one of the premier holes, and Mark took it yesterday and took it again today.
I'm anxious to get to the first hole, which is hole 5. That was the hole that I really figured out how to catch the fish.
This hole where the marina is hole number 1 because I caught probably a limit of fish in here the last thing yesterday evening. I'm hoping maybe to get 1 big bite in there right before we come in.
I like hole 6, probably the best. It's the biggest, and it has the dirtiest water, and it has the most cover. It's one I feel like I can go into no matter who's fished in front of me and catch some fish.
Well, we know what each angler is expecting out of these holes today. It may work out, it may not, but that is just fishing. Take a look at our 6-hole course right here, laid out in front of the Stennis Lock and Dam at our launch point here near Columbus, Mississippi. That's our launch point right there. We had a big crowd for the launch this morning, and several of them sticking around to watch the beginning of fishing. It doesn't take long for any of the anglers to get to their hole. We're going to pick it up right now. Hole number 1, Gary Klein.
And a lot of spectators. Tommy, that's what's so cool about the Elite 50 series is you can come out, you can watch these guys, you can follow them in your own boat. Just give them a little room, you know, so you don't make them nervous. And Klein with a fish right there. He's small, but it's a start.
Yeah, here at hole number 1, you don't even need a boat to go out and follow the fish when we got a big crowd and some big applause on the bank.
I would have stood up, taken a bow, tipped my hat, maybe yelled something positive at the people. Good morning, welcome to the show. Gary is in concentration mode, though. He very seldom even speaks.
That'll work.
Gary Klein scores early. Now over to the man who's second place in this tournament, also second place in series points, Kevin Van Dam.
Yesterday, the key definitely was wood, and this hole here has a lot of good wood in it. It's got a lot of good laydowns, and I just felt like it had real good big fish potential. I lost one big fish in here yesterday, and just with what's coming up with 4 and 5 in front of it, I just thought this would be a good place to start.
It doesn't take Van Dam long to figure out what to throw and where to throw it. Hard cover in the form of wood and lay down. There's a cypress tree bass.
Kevin Van Dam in hole number 3, a fish early. That's what he's looking for today. We got so much more on the way, though. The final day coverage from the Tennessee Tombigbee. Mark Davis, the guy who's going for a wire-to-wire victory against the best 50 anglers in the world. You got to be kidding. Also, Alton Jones finds a new pattern when we come back.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Bush. By Spiderwhite. And by Purelator.
Second event of the 4-event season of the Elite 50 with the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. We're here on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway here in Mississippi. Got a lot of stories going on. Mark Davis trying to win this thing wire to wire. Right now we're looking at Dustin Wilkes in North Carolina.
He loves to flip and pitch a jig. It's his strength on those lakes in North Carolina. And here you can see, again, lay down cover mixed with the grass. Sometimes that little mix really helps, and he's got one. He's slipping and sliding him around the log.
Down the log, sideways, all which directions.
Dustin Wilkes of Raleigh, North Carolina, obviously enjoying himself so far this morning. Who wouldn't? A good fish like that in the box. We're going to head on over to Alton Jones, our winner last year on the tour at Clear Lake, California. That was definitely a big fish tournament. It's a little tougher this week.
Look at him, a fan favorite. Wave the cap. Hello, welcome everyone. But what is up with this? Is that a wristband? Is it carpal tunnel? What is the problem? Is he making a fashion statement? I need to know.
I think it is carpal tunnel syndrome, as a matter of fact, and Alton says, well, he'd rather not go for the surgery, and the bandage around the arm seems to do the trick for him.
So it is more than just an injury in my book. I think he's trying to say something.
And that same little point again. Hopefully the current will push us back a little bit. Little school of fish. You can see how it's a real steep bank, and it just makes a little point right here for the current to run around. It'd be possible for there to be a school of fish in a little place like this.
I'll tell you what, find a school and you could win this thing. And the reason these fish will school up in areas like this is because they move into spawn, and when they leave the area, they come back out the same vent. And that's where Alton seems to be grouped up.
I've got every right to believe I'm going to catch another one before I get up past this little point here. And it comes about. That's another, not a bad fish, but one that if I'm gonna have any chance at all, I've got to get rid of this one today. Need to get rid of this one with about a 5-pounder. But that's 4 fish in the first 30 minutes in my first hole. I will take it.
What other sport do you know of where the competitor can actually not see the playing field? That's professional bass fishing for you. Hey, Alton Jones's boat is sitting in that old river channel that I talked about earlier, and the flow in that old channel is probably congregating a lot of minnows on that drop-off. A week or so ago, the fish were back in the shallow spawning. Now they're on that drop-off, and the bait fish are holding them in that area.
There we go. There we go. That's the kind of bites I'm needing in here this morning. That one will work.
A 5-fish limit in the first period of competition. Alton Jones has the lead.
There's a lot of fish using this little drain. I may spend my whole time working back and forth right through here. He'll go on the keepsake side. Yeah. This was obviously a hot area, which tells me there's something here that the fish are coming to. You know, you pull through an area and catch 5 just right now. There's something there, and there's more here. But again, it's a classic little area, like we were talking about earlier, where you've got a major spawning flat back in there that's even too shallow to get a boat in. We're sitting in the Tombigbee River Channel, an old oxbow off of it, with 10, 15 feet of water right here. And as the current flows over that ledge, those fish are just pulling right up on it to feed. And I'm just casting the young worm and pulling it right over that lip. All the fish I've caught so far have been just around the grass, but wouldn't surprise me at all to catch a fish along that lip, just out there away from the grass even.
Alton Jones with the limit and the lead, trying to beat this man, Mark Davis, trying to go wire to wire in this tournament.
And thank goodness early Alton Jones has figured out the fish aren't in the grass. Davis, he knows they're not.
I know them fish aren't in them weeds. They're outside the weeds. If nothing changes. Now, bass have a mind of their own, and sometimes that'll change. But yesterday the key was to throw to the weeds and fish the little breaks, the little drops that are out in front of them. That was the key to getting the bites. And if everything holds true today and stays the same, it should be much the same.
Mark Davis in hole number 5 getting his day started here. Good catch right there. Mark Davis, for the first 2 days of this tournament, the qualifying days with the full field of 50, actually spanked the field. Had an 11-pound lead over the next angler in that field after 2 days of competition. That qualified him for the top 12. Fished this course for the first time on day number 3 of the competition. He was the best on that day as well, so he's really got some momentum going into this final day.
The first 2 days, Davis was using that big ribbon tail worm. Texas rigged. Here he's Texas rigging a tube lure. Now, why would you change? Because you match the fishing conditions as well as the cover that you're fishing. And he's probably focusing on those little drops, and changing up bait sometimes, Tommy, will get you more bites.
Mark Davis, who has already notched a win this season, Table Rock Lake in Springfield, Missouri. That was his first regular season victory, believe it or not, with the Bassmasters. Of course, he has classic victories to his credit. Mark Davis said day 2 of fishing here at Tennessee Tombigbee was the best fishing he's had since Table Rock. It's going now over to Kevin Van Dam, hole number 3. Already has 2 fish, 2 keepers in the boats, 2 pound for today.
Van Dam just exudes confidence, Tommy. And you can see here, he's going to fish a set of pilings. Again, hard cover. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. Look at his kill switch on his PFD, personal flotation device. That thing's flipping and flopping around. I got news for you. If that was me, it would have gotten up in the reel. I would have a backlash, all kinds of problems. But Van Dam, he's too cool for school, and he always catches them.
Third keeper of the day for Kevin Van Dam in our second tournament, the Elite 50 Series. Mark Davis has taken the lead back. Lost it to Alton Jones just a few minutes ago, but now he's back on top by 2 pounds. More fishing on the way.
That's about as good as I can do right there.
The Elite 50, the top 50 anglers from the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail, shooting it out in this 4-event series. This is the second event right here, the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. We are near Columbus, Mississippi, watching Alton Jones, who really had a great first of the 6 periods of fishing today, caught a 5-fish limit.
He did. You notice he took his life vest off, Tommy. Some of the guys will wear their life vests because they're rotating holes every hour and 20 minutes. It's really quick and fast, and they want to be up for as much fishing time as they have. Don't waste any time. Here he is, Again, fishing the grass in hole number 2, and he's good at this when it comes to the edge. The fish are not right in the grass. Watch where these fish are coming from. There's another small fish. The good news is numbers coming for these competitors.
Okay. Let's see, I got one in there that's 12¼ inches. Let's see if this is not 12½. Yeah, 12¾
Boy, several of our guys are fishing with Texas rigs, and a Texas rig is pretty simple. This is Alton Jones's rig. This is a 3/8 ounce slip sinker, a tungsten slip sinker, and I'm using about a 2/0 worm hook. The thing about a Texas rig that is so great is it is weedless. Man, you bury this hook back into the worm. I've pulled it down into the head about a ½ inch. I know you've seen this rig before, but I'm doing it one more time, and I bury it in this worm and pull the slip sinker down on the worm, and man, is that weedless. Now, Alton Jones, as I said, is fishing with a Texas rig, and he's using a Yum ribbon tail worm, and look how, first of all, look how lively that looks in the water, and believe me, it is really weedless simply because I have that hook buried back in the worm. Several guys are fishing this technique today.
The Texas rig worm, again, is a great technique. You don't see a lot of tournaments won anymore on the standby worm. But Stacy King here in hole number 5 made the cut with the worm, ribbon tail, and currently he's going to be flipping one of those creature-style lures. It's got little tassels and wings and claws hanging all off of it. But, hey, it's going to work for Stacy today.
Stacy King from Reed Spring, Missouri. Currently coming into today, the leader in points in the Elite 50 Series. Had a great tournament at our first stop in Lake Dardanelle, Arkansas, and just missed making it in to the top 6 there. We're going to move over to hole number 1. Dustin Wilkes now has moved into hole number 1. We saw Gary Klein fishing this hole earlier. He was fishing near the takeoff, had the big audience there for him. Dustin is on the other side. There's a big flat out in front of the takeoff there. Dustin is on the other side.
Dustin's a cool customer. It looks like he's got a fish on right here now. He was flipping and pitching with jigs most of the competition in the first 2 rounds. Looks like he's sticking with it here, Tommy.
Second fish of the day for Dustin Wilkes right there. Moving quickly out of that hole. He sort of let himself drift into there.
You don't want to get too close with a trolling motor in most situations if you have a group of fish, because all the backwash from these powerful motors today will really mess them up.
Kevin Van Dam had good success in his first hole, hole number 3. He's made the transition to 4 now and still catching fish.
A little bit bigger than what I've been catching, but still big trouble. Tube.
Back over now to Mark Davis. Mark again trying to lead this tournament wire to wire. He has led the field each of the 3 days so far. Continuing his strategy, fishing those drop-offs near the grass, fishing in the channel.
Oh, no, he's got me tied up. There he come out. Oh, he's big. He's big. Oh, son. Thank you, Lord. I can't go Iaconelli crazy. That's about as good as I can do right there. Whew, son, what a fish.
Right in here, though, is where he ought to be if he's going to be. We got 5 minutes. We got time to catch a couple of them if they're in here.
Alton Jones, we are nearing the end of fishing period number 2. They have about an hour 20 in each hole. Alton Jones, of course, started in hole 2. He's in hole 3 right now.
There's a good one. Mm-hmm. We'll take that.
He'll also take those quick 5 fish he caught in hole number 1, which temporarily gave him the lead over Mark Davis. Mark has since regained that lead.
Like I said, we find some good ones here and then have to leave. Literally, time's going to be expired once I call it and put him over on the big side.
Over to Kevin Van Dam, who had a chance to choose second which hole he would start in. Obviously, Mark Davis with the first selection, and did Van Dam choose the right hole?
Boy, with the weather we're having, I sure wish I would have drawn hole 6 first thing this morning. It'd have been perfect to fish through 1 or 2, 3, and 4 with this afternoon wind and clouds. Dustin's probably going to be pretty tough today. Timing is everything on these, on this course, on this lake right here.
Well, that's not exactly the way it panned out for Dustin Wilkes. He only got the 1 fish in hole number 6, so he's got that 2-pounder, and still nothing here in hole number 1.
And remember, you can't worry about what the other guys are doing on the holes, even though a lot of guys fish it the same way. They're trying to fish their strengths on the particular hole that they're in.
That's a little better. Slow but sure.
Slowly but surely, Kevin Van Dam moving back up the leaderboard. He started today in 2nd place. Alton Jones took over. Now the 2 are tied in that 2nd slot. Coming up, we're going to take a look at day 3 of this tournament for Kevin Van Dam. And this one, almost 6 pounds. Nice fish. Another nice fish on the way. Who's it going to be? Are you stoked? Welcome back to this Elite 50 competition on the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail. I'm Tommy Sanders. We are in Championship Day, event number 2 in the series on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway here in the state of Mississippi near Columbus. We've got our 6 anglers out there fishing for the championship on this final day. One of them, one of the big names in fishing, Kevin Van Dam, thrilled the crowds yesterday with the big fish catch of the day. This one right here, 5 pounds and 7 ounces. And of course, what we've been doing is we've been showing some of the fish catches to the crowds at the weigh-in. But Kevin Van Dam told us, hey, don't show this fish catch at the weigh-in to the crowds because all the anglers, everyone else in the crowd will see it and they'll know exactly where I caught that fish. And Kevin Van Dam, that seemed to me pretty shrewd on your part to keep us from showing it, and we didn't show it.
Well, you can show it today.
Well, we're showing it now.
I'm on this. I'm on that spot right now, and you know, it's a real obvious spot, and I think most all the other anglers have overlooked it. I know. Every time I've been around it, I haven't seen anybody fish it, and I caught a big fish off of it yesterday, and one other smaller fish, and it's got deep water next to it. It's a good wall, as you can see here, and it's got the wind blowing on it. And we'll just see, you know, maybe lightning will strike twice and I can catch another big fish here. But I'm trying to target the water that I feel like is going to hold the bigger fish. To me, the shallow grass is not the pattern to be on. Everything I've caught has been on hard cover, on either wood or rock or pilings or something like that. So I'm trying to spend all my time in every hole fishing nothing but that type of water.
Now, again, the points, the total points in the E50 is the most important part of the game. But you guys, who are really the big names in the bass fishing game, you want to win a tournament, whether it's for all the marbles or not. I know winning is winning no matter what you're playing for, right?
Oh, without a doubt. There's a lot of prestige involved in it. You know, I know Mark wants to win real bad. He's had a lot of close finishes over his career and only a couple of wins. And you know, all of us have experienced a lot of those close times, and boy, it's nice to finish second, but it's not even anywhere near first.
All right, Kevin, we're hoping that you make it close for everybody.
We're gonna give it a whirl. We got to catch some big ones yet. It's just been a slow start. I've caught a lot of fish, but just not the right size. We're slowly scaling up, though.
All right, good luck, Kevin.
Thank you, Tommy.
Van Dam trying to hold on to that number 2 spot. And as we jump over to Alton Jones, who he's tied with, you can see he's back in the grass. He's made the move right up tight to the grass again. Probably not a good drop-off in the area that he's fishing.
Mm-hmm. Not very big, but I think he'll actually cull one of those smaller ones out.
Alton Jones, along with Kevin Van Dam, the 2 anglers who are chasing Mark Davis on this final day of competition. Second stop in the E50 series on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. Now over to Gary Klein, who told me earlier in the week, Fish, that he was probably not going to change. He's going to fish his strength, only the jig.
He always sticks with his strengths, but when the conditions change, Klein knows to change. And here you see him putting on a Texas rigged worm, kind of matching what the other competitors do to get them here. Will it work for Klein?
Klein, a guy who always sticks to his principles, but he's also a smart guy as well. He knows if he's not getting the job done with the jig, he's going to change. And, well, let's just see how it works out now.
There's a good one.
first cast.
That one falls into the category of good and immediate feedback. A big change when he put on the worm.
That's bass fishing too, you know. Sometimes you have to listen to your inner voice, and you know, the whole time I'm fishing, I'm thinking of ways and other techniques to catch these fish. And for about the last 30 minutes, I've been thinking a heavy sinker and a big worm, just, you know, dragged on the bottom. And I made the change, and literally on my very first cast, I caught the largest fish that I have in the live well so far. So it's really kind of strange how things like that work, but you gotta go with the flow sometimes and quit fighting it.
Look at that big old snake coming out of that stump. Ugh, that is nasty there. I caught a bass off of that stump yesterday, too.
Dustin Wilkes, things have been going kind of slow for him today, doing a little bit of wildlife watching here. Only had that one good fish in his first hole of the day.
All these snakes, why don't you throw a 27-inch worm? My gosh, man. But no, you know, he's going to stick with the jig that got him here from the first 2 rounds of competition and worked again on yesterday. Here he goes.
Really good one. Oh, yeah. I'm about to slide out of the back of this skeeter. Yeah. Look at, he ate that thing. It's a big old fish right there, tucked up under that stump. Old glamour shad jig. Yeah. Look at that one. That's probably gonna be $1,000 this afternoon. All right.
$1,000 for the Pure Later Big Bass of the day. That could challenge Kevin Van Dam's Big Bass of the tournament, 5-7. That's from day 3.
I'm not used to this. I've run a Triton and I slipped off that back today. about had a Bassmaster highlight for sure. Whew. All right. Maybe I should go back in there and work some of those stumps a little harder.
Follow your instincts, young Dustin. And he does just that. He turns the boat around, heads back up into that channel, and you can see he puts together a couple of nice keepers that'll really push his creel up.
Dustin Wilkes, who did not do well at the first stop of the Elite 50 Series, Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas, making up for lost time here. Dustin Wilkes has now climbed into 2nd place. Look at that leaderboard. Our top 6 battling it out on the final day. And there is more to come. It's the inaugural season for the Elite 50, the E50, the top 50 anglers from the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail, fishing a 4-tournament series to see who's the best in the business. This is tournament number 2, stop number 2, the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway near Columbus, Mississippi. Kevin Van Dam fishing within sight of Mark Davis, the leader of this tournament.
And you better not get out of your designated hole, because if you do, you're going to be penalized. So you're going to watch for those buoys, and you're going to, at the end of an hour and 20 minutes, hold on, Van Dam's got one, and he's got him on a hard target right there on that laid-on tree. Okay, he's not a big one. I'm not going to worry about that. But don't get out of your hole, and don't get the penalty. It's very important.
Watch Van Dam fishing these stumps, these logs, these hard targets, as you say, fish. And he's really the only guy out of the 6 who's got those things in his sights. Does that just tell us that there's more than one way to win one of these tournaments?
Well, I think he's staying away from the grass because he probably feels like there's more numbers in the grass, but the larger fish that he's caught earlier in the week were on hard targets. Now we jump back over to Mark Davis in hole number 2, and he zeroed in hole number 1, so he better make up some ground here, Tommy.
Mark Davis, who has established his pattern of fishing with the first tournament day of this week, fishing the drop-offs near the grass, not in the grass.
And he was fishing worms the first 2 rounds. Here, he's pitching and flipping a tube lure. And you have to wonder, do the other anglers watch what's going on when they're so close in these holes, or they hear some scuttlebutt going on? And what should they be fishing? Do they match the guy leading?
Well, Dustin Wilkes, whose day started kind of slow, has now picked up the pace. He's gaining a little bit of confidence. Dustin Wilkes, who lists his hobbies as pond fishing and smallmouth streams. A lot of guys say golf or something else, hunting usually, but this guy likes to fish in his off time.
And does he stick with the jig that caught that big fish just moments ago? Yeah, it looks like he does. Right here, another jig fish for Dustin.
All right. Boy, he's still ready to fight. Got him in approximately 0.32 seconds. All right.
are so close to being in a summer pattern that they've gotten extremely predictable. You don't catch one everywhere that you think you should, but a lot of the places that look just right when you come across a certain situation, they're there.
Well, they were certainly there in Alton Jones' first fishing hole of the day. 5 keepers really fast.
What makes these guys better than the weekend warrior angler, Tommy? It's nothing more than time on the water and evaluating and digesting information. It's experience. That's the bottom line.
That one's been to school and learned to read. I might actually be able to cull with that fish.
Alton Jones still looking for a big fish today, trying to upgrade, trying to cull, trying to hold on to his position. Kevin Van Dam across from Mark Davis still.
There's a good one. I wonder if Mark's looking over there every once in a while, seeing Van Dam swing on all of these fish and thinking to himself, man, this thing could potentially be slipping away from me.
Kevin Van Dam, of course, he's trying to win this individual tournament right here, but also, you know, a guy as smart as this, at the top of his mind, he knows that he has a chance to move to the top of the points list in the Elite 50 Series this week as well.
It's kind of like the Angler of the Year list with the Bassmasters, and both of these guys, Davis and Van Dam, what, they've been there 3 times each? We'll see what happens at the end of this race.
It's a series that rewards consistent performance.
Yeah, I gotta catch a couple big ones to have a shot at it.
Mark Davis, 1 fish in the last 2 holes. His things are slowing down, and this is opening the door for Kevin Van Dam.
There's a big one. That's the one I needed. Now we got a shot. Got to thank Tripp for laying out that course, so this is in hole 6. He didn't have much choice, though. That's the way he got to access that flat. Now we got a shot, boys. Catch one big one now, and we're up there. That's just a 4-pounder there, which those are hard to come by, but...
Man, they are hard to come by. 4-pounder is gold in this event. You know he's looking for a 4, 5, or 6-pounder like Wilkes caught in hole number 2.
Look at he ate that thing.
Boy, that was a big step up the leaderboard for Dustin Wilkes. He needs about 1 or 2 more big ones like that, though, if he's going to run down Mark Davis. Mark Davis, who has led this tournament each day of competition. The first 3 days here on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway, still has the lead right now, but Dustin Wilkes, it's another good keeper right there. That will move him a little bit closer, just a couple of pounds behind Kevin Van Dam. Kevin Van Dam looking for the top points position here in the Elite 50 Series, and if he can do very well, 2nd place or better here, he's likely to move into the top spot there. Stacy King, the man who started there today.
Van Dam loves this format, Tommy. It's 50 anglers as opposed to 300 or 400 like we see over in the Citco Bassmaster Opens or even on the tour with 150 pros. He likes this because the field's narrowed and he can fish his style with a 4-day format.
He needs a lot of elbow room. Kevin Van Dam covers a lot of water in a short period of time, doesn't he?
Fastest angler on tour. As I mentioned before, sometimes the trolling motor never comes up as he's hopping hole to hole every hour and 20 minutes.
So much for that deal.
The Elite 50, it's all about the top anglers in the business. Take a look at this leaderboard. Mark Davis about to be run down, it seems, by Kevin Van Dam. And man, Mark Davis is needing things to pick up.
You know, all them 2-pounders we threw back yesterday. If I can just get them today. Just a couple of them. I'll be all right.
You led this thing on day 1, day 2, day 3.
And if everything holds true today and stays the same, that should be just the same.
After 3 days of sitting in the lead, Mark Davis is on the verge of accomplishing something no other angler has been able to.
Well, I hit a little bit.
We'll tell you more when we return. In 1986, the course format was created for the early Sitco Bassmaster Mega Bucks events. Since that time, the course format, where anglers fish designated holes for a set amount of time, has been utilized in 20 Sitco Bassmaster events. But during that time, no angler has ever led this format every day of competition. If Mark Davis is able to pull out a win here, it will be the first time a Bassmaster angler has been able to complete the feat in a course-style event.
On a fish! I'll be all right.
We're on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway here in eastern Mississippi. The second stop of this 4-tournament series, the Elite 50, the 50 top anglers in the world as far as bass are concerned. And we are here trying to decide who is the best. This is the second stop in the series. Final day competition, 6 anglers going at it on our 6-hole course. And Kevin Van Dam trying to run down Mark Davis, who has led every day of this competition so far. Kevin Van Dam in hole number 6. This is fishing period number 4.
See how many casts we can get in a minute. Yeah, when you get hung up. Got one. He got off. Did you see that? It was a big one, too. He took it off that log. We're out of time. God, dog. He took it off the log.
Oh. I have to tell you, I think the bass love Kevin Van Dam. They bite even when the guy is hung up in all this debris. He sits there and does the old bow and arrow technique where you pop the line to send a shock wave to pop it off, and they still bite it. And take a look at this right here. Van Dam and his big boat with the trolling motor down. I do not recommend that you try this at home.
Well, you called it earlier, and sure enough, Kevin Van Dam comes through with the power trolling technique right there. Over to Gary Klein right now. Gary Klein, when we started today's action, was number 4 in the Elite 50 points. And he's likely not going to move far from that position when it's all said and done today.
I saw her come out from underneath that mat. That's a good one there. Big time, yeah, that's going to be a major, major kicker. Hopefully, I can get me 4 more like that. God, that was so neat. I pitched up on that mat, hopped it off that mat, and I watched her come out from underneath it and get it. That is exciting. I mean, that, for me, it was anyhow. That was tremendous.
Why was Klein able to see that? Because of polarized sunglasses. Always wear polarized glasses to be able to see the cover and what the fish are doing. Hey, back to Kevin Van Dam right now in hole number 1.
There's one, a good one, too. Oh, God, he come off. Son of a gun.
Kevin Van Dam still feeling the sting of losing that good fish right there. Over to Alton Jones here in hole number 6. Kevin Van Dam got a good shot at taking the top spot in the E50 points and fish. Does he have an extra gear he can kick into? What kind of front runner is Kevin Van Dam? If he smells that points victory in the E50, he's going to be tough to beat, isn't he?
He truly will be, and he's always focused. Not that Alton Jones or Mark Davis or the rest of our field isn't focused, but Van Dam, man, when he tastes blood, he goes. Look at this get up now. Stacey King, what is he, a redfish angler? The hat. You gotta love the hat. It's supposed to protect the back of his neck from all of the sun. We'll see if it helps him catch fish. It looks like it's doing a good job right here.
Yeah, Stacey King, pretty smart guy in my book, keeping those ultraviolet rays off of his skin. And Stacey King, though, having a tough day, just really hasn't gotten it done the way he's done it the first 3 days of this tournament.
Yes. That one will help me a bunch. I knew there had to be some along these logs, some better ones.
Well, the hour grows late, but maybe Stacey King can get something going. Dustin Wilkes, now 26 years old. He's in hole number 5. Of course, Dustin with the big fish today. This is the hole where Kevin Van Dam caught his big fish, 5 pounds and 7 ounces yesterday.
Van Dam was throwing a creature bait on the same wall, and what's he throwing? That Glamour shad jig. How big is that one? Oh, a couple of pounds. It'll help his average.
Dustin, who made a lot of noise with the big fish earlier today, has otherwise been getting the job done quietly, may have the biggest stringer of all the competitors today.
So I'm the guy that gets to deliver the news that the number 6 period was the worst period of the day. Matter of fact, they only caught a half a dozen fish. It didn't amount to anything, so nothing changed. All the damage was already done, and boy, a lot of it was done in hole number 2. There were 17 fish caught there for 32 pounds, and that's interesting because in the semifinal day, that was the least productive hole. The best hole in that semifinal day was hole number 4. It was the worst today. Can you believe that? There were only 5 fish caught there, so you just never know, I guess.
And with that, our fishing day is done. On this final day competition, Mark Davis, Kevin Van Dam on top. So the weigh-in is coming up.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Busch Light. By Skeeter. And by Yamaha.
We are back and ready to weigh them in at the second E50 event of the season. A big crowd on hand here at Columbus, Mississippi on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. First up to the weigh-in stand, Gary Klein. Put down the flipping stick, but couldn't get enough going today.
With a 5-fish limit and a weight for him on the final round of competition. 9 pounds, 14 ounces. First place has changed. 9.14.
9.14 for Gary Klein. Good enough only for 6th place.
Waco, Texas. This is Alton Jones.
Alton Jones meant business from the start today. A 5-fish limit in the first period, but the big ones never showed up.
9.12 for the lead. Got it. 12 pounds and 6 ounces. 12.
The 12-pound, 6-ounce limit would be good enough for 4th place for Alton Jones.
You got warming up.
Dustin Wilkes caught a good limit anchored by the big 5-pound, 6-ounce largemouth. His is the biggest stringer of the day, but he started too far back.
12 pounds in the change would take a mere 3 more ounces. Watch him. 14 pounds. Dustin Wilkes.
A great performance, and Dustin Wilkes winds up in 3rd place. Stacy King, a good tournament, but his worst day came today with only 9 pounds, 8 ounces.
12.5 pounds if he wants to move Dustin Wilkes off the stool. Weight, 9 pounds, 8 ounces, 9/8.
Nevertheless, a good finish for series points for Stacy King.
You guys ready for
Kevin Van Dam? You know he wanted to win this one, but would he catch enough to catch Mark Davis? You know he could have if he just caught the ones that got away.
To the scales, he needs 10-12 to take the lead. He has a 5 bass limit. And we're gonna double wrap him. Watch the weight over there, Dustin. 12 pounds, 7 ounces. Van Dam.
You know, it was a good day fishing today. I just couldn't get a 5-pounder like I had yesterday. You know, I fished hard. I probably pulled that trolling motor up and down more times today than anybody else out there. I mean, I really tried to concentrate on what I thought was holding the bigger fish. I was catching them mostly relating to wood, and a lot of it on the real isolated pieces, some of it way out in the middle of those flats and stuff. So I just pretty much run and gun around the holes and just hit the key pieces of cover and move on to the next one. You know, a lot of times I didn't even pull the trolling motor up.
That's what I heard.
Good enough only for 2nd place for Kevin Van Dam.
Mount Ida, Arkansas, you guys welcome
Because
Mark
we now
Davis.
look to the stand and Mark Davis, beginning the day with a 2-pound lead, looking for the wire-to-wire victory.
All right, you heard us talk about the tie. It could happen. We're looking for 10 pounds and 9 ounces for the victory. Weight for Davis, 12 pounds, 9 ounces. Mark Davis is your Elite 50 champion. You led this thing on day 1, day 2, day 3, and whoop, day 4. You are the Elite 50 champion of Columbus, Mississippi.
I've never done that before. Led and I lead a lot, but then I get beat at the end. I've never led wire to wire and won like that. It's been a great week. My gosh, I'm at a loss for words, and I'm usually not, but it's been a great week. All these guys that we're fishing against are great, and anytime you can beat this field right here, it's something really, really special to me.
And to present the trophy to Mark Davis, Tommy Hamill of Macon, Mississippi. You'll remember Tommy Hamill. He was the civilian truck driver captured and injured April 9th in Iraq. He escaped shortly after.
Appreciate that, Tommy. Honored to meet you.
There you go, guys. One more huge round of applause for your ESPN2 champion, the with the Elite 50, Mark Davis.
Another big win for Mark Davis. He's done a couple of kind of neat things we don't see so often this year. He wins one wire to wire, as he did here, and he's had 2 wins in the course of one season.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody win one wire to wire. He did it. But you know what? Maybe the biggest thing that happened to him was he moved way up in the points for E50.
Points are the important thing. Mark Davis, with this tournament, moves into 7th place on the points. Kevin Van Dam, though, he's the guy who has moved into the top slot. Daisy King in 2nd, just 7 points back. Our Pure Later Big Bass of the tournament, that big one for Kevin Van Dam. Yesterday, 5 pounds and 7 ounces. Just noses out. Dustin Wilkes, the big one today, 5 pounds and 6 ounces. As far as our Bush shootout goes, that top 10 list still intact. Kelly Jordan on the top. Ben Matsubu with the 23-10, the man who is vulnerable at the bottom of that list. Next week, we're going to the Alabama River for the 3rd tournament in our series.
Remember last year when we were there, it was flooding. It was out of control. This year, it's going to be a little more normal.
All right, the current, the spotted bass, always a big part of the story there. We'll see you then on the next stop on the Elite 50 series.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to Bassmaster.com.